Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. So we got a lot going on today. Ripple did recently file its redacted reply to the SEC's opposition to Ripple's motion for summary judgment. So guys, it's a really interesting update. We're going to get some perspectives from some of the lawyers in the XRP community. First, they kind of wanted to start off with a bit of a public service announcement. Now, this was from a few days ago, but just figured I'd let you guys know who.com exchange has vanished as well. So, I mean, as you guys know, over the last 2 weeks or so, since the FTX fiasco, we have been seeing a lot of these exchanges either go under, halt withdrawals, or just disappear completely. And here's just another example of that. I'm not going to get into it in detail, but I will link the article in the description of the video for you. Just taking a quick look here at just a quick Google search for Who Exchange. When you link, when you click on the link, the very first link in Google, apparently this was supposed to go to their website, and now there's just an announcement here in Chinese. Currently, all permissions for Who's wallet and website programs are controlled by Mr. Xu. So please contact the official email if you have any questions. And then there's an email down here for support. I guess more importantly, guys, not your keys, not your crypto. I don't know how many of you guys have used this exchange, but again, this is an unprecedented number of exchanges that have just gone under since the FTX collapse. So at this point, if you still have your cryptocurrency on an exchange, well, I think it's on you at this point. I do urge everybody who still hasn't heard the message, though, please, 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 please purchase a cold storage cryptocurrency solution like a Ledger Nano or something similar. I personally use the Ledger Nano. I do have an affiliate link in the description. You can use my link. You don't have to use it. But, you know, again, just more evidence to suggest that it is more prudent to have your cryptocurrency on cold storage. I've got XRP up here right now trading at about 0.393. We haven't really seen too much movement. Same with Bitcoin. If I just bring up Bitcoin real quickly here, you can see over the last several days, Bitcoin has just been hovering, not really vacillating too much, anywhere between 16,900 and 17,200. So not a lot of volume, not a lot of movement. The major volatility was over here when we were hearing about the FTX fiasco, and it seems as though Bitcoin has leveled out. It has come up a bit, and now it's just kind of vacillating in this narrow channel here. But I mean, there are some critics out there that are calling for a bigger plunge. Okay, this one from DJ Peter Vass here. Michael Burry of The Big Short. I don't know if you guys know that film. One of my favorite films, at least in the realm of finance. He has predicted a multi-year U.S. recession. So Big Short investor Michael Burry sounds the recession alarm, warning the U.S. economy faces a multi-year downturn. Michael Burry has sounded the alarm, and he is suggesting this. He sees no way to end it early. What strategy will pull us out of this real recession? He said in a now-deleted tweet on Tuesday, what forces could pull us out? There are none. So we are really looking at an extended multi-year recession. The investor of Big Short fame seems to be suggesting the Federal Reserve and U.S. government have a few options to shore up growth. He has previously accused policymakers of fueling inflation by flooding the economy with money during the pandemic, and warned that could make it tougher and more expensive to stimulate growth in the future, especially if doing so would fuel price increases, which in fact it has. Burry has been predicting a recession for a while now. In June, he noted Americans faced with surging prices and higher interest rates are saving less, borrowing more, and poised to virtually exhaust their savings by Christmas. And now, Christmas is coming up in less than a month. Those trends threaten to hammer consumer spending, erode corporate profits, and spark an economic downturn. The Scion Asset Manager founder also noted in his latest tweet that other commenters are forecasting a mild, short-lived recession, not a deep and protracted one. Who is predicting this? He said, there are none. So he's going against the grain here, suggesting it will be prolonged. Whereas most of the mainstream, I guess you could call them mainstream analysts, they are suggesting that the recession could be mild and short-lived. I mean, it goes without saying, Lynn Alden here posted this, the V-turn in global central bank gold reserve practices since the global financial crisis continues to be pretty striking, okay? So she retweeted out Wall Street Silver's tweet here. Central bank buys 31 tons of gold in October. And we've talked a little bit about this with regards to central banks buying up gold, lots and lots of it. Global gold reserves rise to highest level since 1974. If you believe they are reporting real numbers, there is a lot of doubt about some countries, such as the USA, which refuses to prove their gold reserve data is accurate. Well, here are some statistics with regards to global central bank gold reserves, and they date back to the mid-70s, okay? So we can see how they were depleting over time, and then by, I don't know, around 2010, 2011 or so, they started to move up and are now continuing to move up. And now we're hearing of central banks globally purchasing up even more and more. And I have a feeling that, because of a great reset, these banks are in fact preparing. And I mean, when I see this, all it makes me think is that, well, I should probably be doing the same thing. I have been purchasing some precious metals, and I mean, it's a good way to hedge, guys. I mean, or at least we have a feeling of which direction fiat currencies are going. I mean, so far they've just been devalued along the way against the US dollar, although when looking at the DXY index right now, the US dollar is coming down quite a bit. But over the last, how long has it been now? Since about May 2021, we have seen US dollar strength just continually increase up until roughly September of this year. Okay, now we're seeing a bit of a decline, so maybe a bit of relief. Taking a look at the euro to USD, we are seeing that rebound there for the euro. Remember when it was under 1-to-1 a few short months ago? Same with the Great British Pound. Bring up GBP. Okay, the Great British Pound has also rebounded as well against the US dollar. So we are seeing a bit of a relief, although will it be short-lived? Want to keep moving, guys? Because sentiment is saying recent data shows that XRP, XLM, and SNT have high chances of rising compared to other altcoins. Now, take a look at this. Popular data aggregator Sentiment has tweeted that the current top list of cryptocurrencies that are trending in social dominance include these three coins, XRP, XLM, and SNT, and this may indicate a soon price surge. However, there is a catch here. Sentiment tweeted that once a coin's social dominance goes high, chances of its price rise become higher than usual. However, these coins like XRP, XLM, and Status, which is SNT, are trending. Sentiment warns there is also a risk of a quick sell-off by those traders who are after a quick profit. So just taking a look at the stats, obviously we know XRP has been, XRP has been talked about quite a lot on social media for many different reasons. I mean, first we have the XRP community, I think the most robust community in cryptocurrency, but there's also that elephant in the room. Namely the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. And so, there's a lot of people in crypto in general talking about that as well. It's going to be a landmark case. Everybody is just kind of waiting with bated breath. And so I could see why that would extend to social media impressions and why we could, in fact, see a surge for XRP. And, there are going to be those types of investors who want to just kind of day trade it, buy it at a low price, sell it if they see a 20-30% pump. I mean, I'm not in it for that game. I'm looking for the real world value. I'm looking for another bull run, taking some of my profits out at the top of another bull run and, riding the rest for that long-term utility. That's just my strategy. Obviously, everybody's got a different strategy. Nevertheless, we could see a pump. Now, why XLM and Status? Well, I mean, we know XLM is very, very similar to XRP. A lot of people consider them brother and sister cryptocurrencies for many different reasons. And, just recently, David Schwartz was kind of toying with us, giving us a hint on Twitter. And, I think we got about 2/3 of the way through this particular riddle. He was discussing the XRPL and their peer port, and I think it was 51.235 or something like that. Also, we decoded an Asian character. I think it was a Chinese character, maybe Korean. Yeah, no, it was a Korean character. And when we put it in a translator, it translated to Jed, i.e. Jed McCaleb. And I did a video on this yesterday. I'll link it up here in the top right-hand corner if you guys didn't catch it. We know these two cryptocurrencies very similar in a lot of ways. I don't know where SNT fits in. I don't actually really know a lot about this particular cryptocurrency. If you guys do have some more insight on that, please do put it down in the comments section, or you can tag me on Twitter. I also saw this, guys. There has been a new survey, and 95% of Ripple employees disclosed that the blockchain company is a great place to work. So Ripple employees disclosed that the blockchain company is a great place to work compared to 57% of employees in typical US-based companies. So Ripple obviously working very, very hard to make their company, not just the best, the gold standard for cryptocurrency adoption and for cryptocurrency transparency, trying to educate the market, trying to be, that standard, the standard that everybody else should follow. in order to be the best in their field. They're doing it in a business respect, but they're also making it a very nice and comfortable place to work for their employees. I wonder what the 5% have to say about this. Anyway, I thought I'd bring that up. I mean, it is a Saturday today, and we don't have too much news going on other than this, okay? Brad Garlinghouse did post this. I said it on day one. We will aggressively fight to get clear rules for the entire industry in the United States. Congrats to all of the Ripple team for getting us to this point. Ripple stood strong and withstood the SEC's onslaught. I look forward to being on the right side of justice. Retweeting out Stuart Alderoty's tweet here. Ripple's reply brief is now public, guys. You can view it here. And then he goes on to say, this is our final submission where we ask the court to grant judgment in our favor. After 2 long years, Ripple is proud of the defense we've mounted on behalf of the entire cryptocurrency industry. We have always played it straight with the courts. Can't say the same for our adversary. So one last dig there at the SEC. Congratulations to Ripple for getting through this. The translation here from John Deaton. Let me translate what Ripple's GC or General Counsel is tactfully saying. In the 2 years that Ripple has defended itself versus the SEC's massive overreach, with much on the line, the Ripple team maintained a faithful allegiance to the law, something the judge herself said the SEC has lacked. And so here we have it, Ripple's redacted reply to the SEC's opposition to Ripple's motion for summary judgment, posted by James K. Filan here on Twitter. And, a lot of people coming out thanking James for, all that he's done throughout this trying time for many XRP holders. And Sherry down here pointing something out. Ripple points out exactly what the SEC is doing to twist the Howey test in this case. So just an excerpt from the brief here. The SEC is wrong. You cannot interpret a statute without considering its words. You cannot interpret words in that statute that crystallizes prior cases without considering those cases. And you cannot take a single sentence from Howey, even by calling it paramount, and apply it out of context. So Ripple essentially saying that, the SEC has been twisting this around and that, basically how they're making it sound is not actually an accurate description. Sherry continues by saying important distinction is made as to why any XRP was distributed in one instance. So also just pointing this out, okay, defendants also showed that there was no exchange of money for the more than 4 billion XRP that defendants donated to various charities and more than 775 million XRP that Ripple gave away to companies building new technologies through their Spring initiative. The SEC concedes defendants' donations were for no consideration. It attempts to minimize the concession lack factual support, such as when the SEC argues with no citation at all that Ripple's distributions through Spring or through the Spring initiative benefited Ripple by enrolling other entities and projects that benefited Ripple. Indeed, the SEC goes so far as to assert that donations and giveaways were the first step in a public distribution, pointing to Section 5's bar on directly or indirectly offering or selling securities without filing a registration statement. But the SEC's complaint does not allege that recipients of this XRP, such as these charities, were Ripple's underwriters, likely recognizing that such a claim would be absurd. An important mention that the SEC has failed to connect any sort of profiting from any asset that has been pooled among investors. And then she gives more, supporting evidence suggesting this. Just going back up here, Stephanie Starr also noting page 32 here. Here's the redacted reply. The SEC knows itself. This theory is legally irrelevant. And, unfortunately, we cannot see that part. I believe that is the Hinman email section. Ripple usually files first before the SEC, so XRP Crypto Wolf here, just commenting on the proceedings. The SEC always files their paperwork last minute. It's almost like their lawyers don't know how to win anymore. So we got some more down here, a lot of other replies here. Of course, there is the conclusion. The court should grant defendant's motion and should deny the SEC's motion. Well, obviously, Ripple's lawyers are going to think that, courtesy of Cowboy Crypto here. There was something else down here that I also wanted to mention, and I think it had to do... right over here, I said this argument from Paradigm would be powerful, and here Ripple points to it as one of their opening arguments. Every Howey finding has had a post-sale obligation, and the SEC simply cannot prove this in regards to the defendants. So that's actually quite important here. As defendants showed in their motion, and as a comprehensive analysis provided by Amicus Paradigm Operations LP confirms, every pre-Howey case finding an investment contract, Howey itself, and every Supreme Court and Second Circuit case following Howey involved one or more contracts imposing post-sale rights and obligations on the parties. Too much conflicting information here for the SEC to really have a leg to stand on at this point. Stéphane Hubert also bringing this up. Ripple has never sold more XRP than in the 2 years it has been declared illegal by the SEC, though the SEC did not even try to stop Ripple with an injunction. The SEC always knew it was going to lose. And then he brings this up. Exactly. Do you guys remember this? The SEC even argued that Ripple could afford what they asked them to do by selling more XRP. Now, if they're trying to ding them for selling XRP, why? Why would they suggest for them to actually sell XRP to pay what was rightfully owed? And this was from back in the summer, I believe. Third, Ripple has the financial resources necessary to undertake the search requested by the SEC, which may cost several $100,000. Not only did Ripple raise over $1.4 billion as a result of the conduct at issue, but Ripple continues to raise $150 million a quarter from more XRP sales, while having no fewer than 7 insurance policies at its disposal to cover its legal expenses. And Bill Morgan here also responding to this. Okay, thanks, James. I'm going first to reply on the fair notice issue to see just how likely it is that the Hinman documents are going to be relevant in the summary judgment adjudication and whether they need to be unsealed at all at this stage. Citizen XRP Pinoy down here asking if Bill was going to do a proper breakdown, and sure enough, he did over here, okay? You know I'm obsessively going to the common enterprise prong to see what the parties say. Firstly, Ripple, the first point it makes, apparent already from reading the SEC's amended complaint, is that the SEC refuses to say what the common enterprise actually is. What are the boundaries? What it relies on broad vertical commonality rejected in the Second Circuit. Secondly, it cannot prove pooling required under the REVAC decision. The SEC equates the enterprise with Ripple's efforts, which conflates 2 prongs of Howey, enterprise and effort. So note down here, okay, that the SEC in verified responses mistakenly addresses the wrong Howey elements when asked to identify the alleged enterprise. That claim not only underscores that the SEC cannot point to any common enterprise, but it also belied the agency's assertions through its brief. He continues down here, the SEC does not identify the elements of a profit-seeking business venture, which Ripple alleges must be there for a common enterprise. In my opinion, the SEC's difficulty in this respect finds expression in its failure to distinguish between Ripple's ODL business and the XRP ledger. So note, this is a very important point here. The ODL business and the XRP ledger specifically, okay, which I'm going to actually bring in another interesting document later on, which I find interesting. I think you guys will too. This is also seen as the amended complaint. When I first read it, I could not see what the SEC identified as a profitable business venture that could extend to the SEC's broad 20-year-old single continuous offer and sale of XRP. Next, Ripple states that there needs to be ongoing rights and obligations between Ripple and the investors for there to be a common enterprise. This ties its arguments on what is an investment contract, prong 1, to its arguments on common enterprise, prong 2. It is persuasive. In respect to pooling, horizontal commonality, Ripple says the SEC fails on proof, a fatal flaw. The analogy is you need a wheel, not just a hub and spokes. Ripple alleges that investors need to receive an undivided share of the pool of assets and profits, such as the rights of Howey investors to share, not in the oranges themselves. So going back to that argument with the oranges, but in the net proceeds of the enterprise's sale of the oranges. The SEC has not attempted to show this with Ripple and XRP investors. XRP holders hold their own XRP and have no interest or right in a wider pool of assets. Without a business enterprise, the SEC can't show ownership of XRP is different from ownership of a gold coin or chain, not representing a share in the gold ecosystem. If common enterprise is an Achilles heel for the SEC, which I have always maintained, Ripple has speared it good. So, a great breakdown here from Bill Morgan at Belisarius2020 on Twitter, basically giving us, Ripple's perspective on this. The piece that I wanted to bring up too was this, okay, also from The Wrath of Kahneman, with regards from the Infinite Acquisitions SEC registration from December 1st. He retweeted out Stefan Hubert's tweet, describes which Tranglo customers use XRP. It's steadily increasing, but relation could cause severe damage to their business. They also state that XRP could jeopardize their profits due to losing cross-border payment fees. So this is how this case is extending to other companies. Even if Tranglo is, good in some regions of the world, it's still affecting them. The funding process used by certain customers of Tranglo relies on the currency XRP, issued by strategic partners, and then lists some of their customers, okay, GEA Limited, sent to be Limited, Eastern and Allied Pay, Pipple, Cambian Capital Limited, they are regulated financial institutions in their respective jurisdictions. For the 6 months ending June 30th, 2022, these customers accounted for 12.1% of the remittance revenue, or 5.8% of the total revenue, 16.9% of the total remittance revenue, and 26.5% of the total remittance transactions of Tranglo. Down here, if our partner is not allowed to continue to provide their services due to regulatory changes, or if the customers or the partner fail to obtain required licenses or comply with applicable regulations, and we are not able to migrate those customers to non-cryptocurrency-based funding processes, our business, financial conditions, and results of operations may be materially affected. If the pre-funding mechanism Tranglo offers, which relies on XRP cryptocurrency issued by one of the strategic partners, Ripple, generates low transaction fees and Forex gains for Tranglo, Tranglo passes a portion of those lower costs through its customers using the funding process. As additional customers of Tranglo adopt XRP funding mechanism to lower their costs, Tranglo will experience reduced revenue from transaction fees and Forex gains. So this is how Tranglo makes money. We anticipate that these fee savings will help Tranglo capture more market share and increase the total number of transaction value of transactions processed. However, there can be no assurance that the increase in total number of transaction value of the transactions processed will generate enough revenue to offset the impact of the lower fees charged. And if they do not, our business, financial conditions, and results of operations may be materially adversely affected. So there you go, guys. Another example of how Tranglo could be affected, even though in some cases, in some jurisdictions, their companies, their partners are legally able to, conduct transactions in cryptocurrency. The SEC lawsuit is affecting so many different facets of this. So wanted to thank everybody here: Bill Morgan, Stefan Hubert, of course, James K. Filan, Stuart Alderati, Brad Garlinghouse, everybody, Michael Branch, Mac Attack XRP, Lynn Alden, Wall Street Silver, everybody here, DJ Peter Vass, of course. We're getting there, guys. We are getting there. And the price of XRP, whether it's, on a spec move or will be the basis for a real pump, once we get that verdict, it's going to rally sometime soon. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.